Hey everyone, Beth here. Thanks so much for joining me for day 2 of our Yogalates for back pain mini tutorial series. Today we're going to work on strengthening and stretching the deep stabilizer muscles of the spine specifically, and then we're going to have a lovely restorative pose at the end. So you need either a yoga bolster for this or like a big cushion maybe, if you've got lying around the house, maybe some blankets. So use props in a really kind of intelligent way to support yourself in the practice. Alright, so we're going to start in child pose, so coming onto your knees and then sitting your bum back onto your heels, feet together. You can have the knees together or knees wide. If you find that you can't get the head down to the floor in this pose, or you're a little bit restricted, you can't get the bum back onto the heels, that's fine. Do use what supports you need, so whether that be a bolster or like some cushions or blankets underneath the head, or you can even use a yoga block, which is a really nice option. You can always support it with a cushion so it's not so hard for the forehead. You can also prop between the knees, underneath the ankles, so get supported in the posture. There's loads of ways to support even the toughest of kind of injuries and restrictions here. So resting in our child pose, then either have the arms forward or arms back, and just taking a few breaths here just to centre the body and the breath. Great, and on the next exhale, we're just going to come up into an all-fours position, wrists underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. And we want to have a neutral spine here. So we talked about the neutral spine yesterday, these 4 natural curves in the spine. So if you're a flat back person, you might find that tilting the pelvis away gives a little bit of space here in the lower back. If you're an overarcher, just be careful you're not hanging down. We need those lower ribs lifted up into the body and this sort of length through the lower back. Good, and holding onto our neutral spine, we're going to play with taking one leg back, so the right leg back and lifting it, taking it no higher than the hip, and really extending back through the toes. And then on the inhale, coming back to centre, keeping the torso and hips really, really stable so the pelvis doesn't shift too much. And then on the next exhale, extending the left leg all the way back, just hip height. So really extending through the toes, feeling the forward through the crown of our head, so we're like pulling in 2 different directions here. And trying not to drop into the rib cage, keep those lower ribs lifted up, core switched on. Good, and then on the next inhale, coming back, taking nice and slowly. If you want to, that might be enough for you, but if you want to, you can extend the opposite arm and leg. So as the right leg comes back this time, the left arm comes forward, palm facing inwards, really reaching forward with the fingertips, reaching back through the toes, getting this length through the spine, to help us balance, feeling the core switching on, keeping us balanced, and tucking the chin length along the back of the neck. Good, taking a few breaths there. And on the next inhale, calming back center again, keeping the torso, pelvis really stable as we're coming back to center. And then exhale, other side. Holding it for a few breaths there, trying not to collapse in the waist, keeping the ribs nice and lifted. Keeping breathing into the body, feeling that corset of support around the waist, keeping you balanced. And then on the next inhale, coming back and extending the other side on the exhale. Inhale, coming back, keeping it really slow and steady as if the hand and knee are coming down at exactly the same moment, and then extending the other side. And then inhale, coming back. One more on either side. Inhale as we return, exhale to extend, and keeping the length through the crown of the head to the tailbone and beyond. And inhale, coming back. Good. Great, we're going to come back into downward facing dog. Now, if you've got any wrist problems, shoulder problems, and downward facing dog just isn't comfortable for you, then you can do the half dog pose with the chair or against a wall, which I'm just going to show you in a moment. But first of all, I'll show you the original pose. So you need the hands length further forward. If you're tight in the shoulders, you can have the hands a little bit further apart, but spread the fingers, spread the thumbs, ground the hands down, tucking the toes under. And the soft bend in the knees, we're going to lift up through the hips, giving like length through the whole body. Breathing into the spine. And we're just going to pedal one foot at a time, bringing one heel down as the other heel lifts. And concentrating on taking the hips up away from the shoulder girdle, so as high as you can through the sit bones shining up to the ceiling. And then we're going to come into a rested position, pushing the heels down. Now, if you find that you round in the lower back when you do this, then bend the knees, lift up through the hips again, get that length through the spine. That's the most important principle in downward facing dog. And then push the heels down. You maybe don't get the heels to the floor. That's fine. As long as you've got this lovely length through the spine, then the knees can stay bent. And then the heels tracking down towards the floor. Thighs pushing back, breathing length into the whole body. And then when you're ready, resting down in child pose. Now I'm just going to quickly show you how we would do that with the chair or against a wall. We call it half dog position. So I'm going to grab a chair. Okay, so you're going to have the back of the chair in front of you, and then you're going to walk the feet backwards underneath the hips, hands on the chair, or like I said, against a wall, on like the edge of the table. You want to make sure it's the same, it's roughly the same height as the hips. And it's the same pose essentially as downward facing dog. We're rolling the shoulders away from the ears, we're activating into the arms, and we're lengthening through the spine. So you want to feel this lengthening action happening along the lower back. So as if we're sort of flaring the sit bones slightly. We're not collapsing down, we're keeping the lower ribs lifted up, core engaged, but we're just breathing length in between the vertebrae of the spine. So it's not a tuck or a tilt of the pelvis, it's just length. And really opening and around the sacrum. You want to have active legs here, so engage the thighs. And really sitting back with the weight lengthening the lower back. Taking a few breaths then, and when you're ready, coming up to a standing position slowly. Great, so there's some postures for you to work with. We're going to end in a restorative posture, my favourite, just lying onto our backs with the bolster. Now, like I said, if you don't have a bolster, you can use a couple of cushions underneath the knees. And this is really a great alternative. I'd say actually, if you can invest in a bolster at home, it's one of the best things, I think, for lower back pain, is being able to rest the legs over the bolster, feet on the floor. But like I said, you can do this with cushions instead, that's fine. And if you need a little cushion underneath the head, then do grab that. And just resting the weight into the floor, just like we would do in the regular Shavasana pose. But by raising up the knees slightly, we're just allowing for less of an overarch to happen in the lower back. So for people with back problems, it can be a really nice relieving alternative. So closing the eyes, allowing the shoulders to soften into the floor. If you've got the arms alongside the body, that's fine. Palms facing up, really letting the arms just sink into the floor. Legs to relax over the bolster. Breathing deeply into the belly and switching off all that muscular engagement we've been working on over the last 5 minutes or so. Closing the eyes and just settling into the breath. A gentle rise and fall of the belly. If you find the mind wandering, that's fine, just guiding it back to the breath. Great, and just staying here for as long as you like. I would recommend really 5-10 minutes. To do a restorative pose a day can be really healing for the back. So finding what's comfortable and the regularity is the most important thing, I think, with healing back problems, a little bit every day. And a really mindful practice to know what works for you, which might not work for someone else, but that's fine. Tuning yourself to your body and your needs, noticing when pain creeps in, maybe backing off a little bit in the postures. So great, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you got a lot from it, as much as I did. And do join me for tomorrow as we continue with this tutorial series. If you want to check out my Yogalates for back pain course that I'm running this summer, or any of my classes and retreats on offer, head to my website, that's yogalateslondon.com. For the back pain course, you /summer-course, so that's yogalateslondon.com/summer-course for the Yogalates for back pain 6-week specialist course I'm running in Fulham and St Margaret's this summer, this August. And you can also find it in the classes section of my website. I'd love it if you could join me there. And thanks so much. I'll see you tomorrow.